Hi, this is probably my last update before Christmas. I don't think I'm going to do one Christmas Eve, but you never know. If you check out my last video, I did a tutorial on how to prepare the edges for turned edge applique on circles and other curved edges. So that's kind of like what I've got here behind me. I'll go into this in a minute as well. Those circles with a piece of foil, aluminum foil, tin foil, whatever you want to call it. Using that to turn the edges over. So if you want to have a look at that, that should be the last video in the stream on YouTube. What else is going on? This quilt, I will go into that. I also have quite a few new purchases, just because I've kind of treated myself for Christmas, and I know that I have some nice sewing related presents coming from my sister and from my husband as well. So first off, I treated myself to a full-size cutting mat, and you wouldn't believe how much of a difference this makes. I literally only have to fold my fabric once to cut it instead of twice, because I used to work on a I think it's like a 24-inch wide board, and I've done that for the last 7 years, something like that. This big beast, even though it won't fit on my normal cutting station, I have to keep it on this table, is perfect for when I want to do long strips and then I don't end up with little wonky bits where it's been folded and it's not quite lined up properly, and it's, yeah, I just find it really good already. They're not cheap, but I'm really glad to have it, and I'm hoping it'll last me a long time. When I bought this, I also bought some fabric. This was a half price one at my sewing room. This is one of the cotton and steel ones. They had pink as well. And then I also bought a 1/2 metre of this Lollies print by Jen Kingwell. And I thought it was 4 designs at first. I thought it was these 4. But then on the other side are another 4. So I'm not quite sure what I'd use it for, but I think it would be really interesting for binding, and 1/2 metre is perfect for binding for me. That's usually the amount that I need for most of the quilts that I've been making. And I also got these handles on half price as well. There was about 4 or 5 pairs there. So if you want some leather dotty handles for bag making, it's worth checking out the half price section there if you're in town. And then on Saturday I met with my friend Louise, and we went to Out of Hand, which is another fabric shop, and it's not one I go to very often, so we kind of splurged there as well. Bought some interfacing, which isn't that exciting, but I also bought quite a lot else. I got a metre of the Spirit Animal Otters, just because I have the dark green ones and I didn't realise quite how nice this sort of yellowy green colour is. It's one of my favourite kind of colours, so I got some of that. They also had about 3 bolts of original Birds and the Bees fabric, so I got a metre of this one. They did have the brown one and a few other coordinates as well. They didn't have the squirrels, but they do have some of the coordinates. And as is tradition, if I ever see the mystery food print anywhere in any of the colourways, I have to buy some. So I got a metre of this one, and it turns out I actually don't have this one, so maybe I've already used it in something, because I'm sure I used to have some of this, but I do have like the lighter colourway, so I actually have that blue one now as well. They also have the new colour charts from Kona with the new colours in. So this was a bit of a find right at the end. Thought we were ready to leave, and then this appears on the shelf. So we each got one of these, and that might replace my colour book. I haven't quite decided yet, or I might even make it into something. I just thought it was worth getting. Other things, 1/2 metre of catnap. I really like this kind of flowery print. You've probably seen it before. I made some napkins out of the reddish colourway. I got one of the bear prints from Big Sky. I could have bought a lot more from that range, but by that point I'd already had most of this fabric cut. There's 1/2 metre of this Japanese linen style fabric with flamingos on there. And then this is a Lewis and Irene print, I believe. And it's kind of characteristic of theirs with the little sort of simplistic cartoony kind of animals. But if it's got deer on, or fox on, or hedgehogs on it, I have to buy it. And the last thing that I got was some of these tulip milliner's needles. So these were $11.50, and there's only 6 needles in there. I'll show you what they look like inside. And they're not coated. They're kind of, the special thing about them is the way that they're polished to last longer and to feed through the fabric nice and smoothly. But I haven't tried them yet. I'll have to let you know how I get on with that. So they come in this little vial, which is kind of cute, which looks like that. Little cork in the end, and then yeah, you get about 6 needles in there, so they're not cheap. But I have heard such really good things about them. I like the Milliners ones specifically for binding, but it could be that I purchase some other ones at some point as well. I also have a tutorial that I'm planning on recording before Christmas, which will be a review of the Hot Hemmer tool by Clover. I'm going to be making another necessary clutch wallet. I made them last about 2 or 3 years ago, and I'm going to be doing a class on them soon, so I want to make a little class sample. And I'm going to use the Hot Hemmer to quickly fold those card slots up, so I'll let you know how that works, and I'll do a little review video on that. I'm also going to post on the blog this week about my new ironing board. Well, it's not really a new ironing board. I got a replacement one from IKEA, but I've sort of adapted it slightly so that hopefully it'll last longer, even though they're only like $7. I wanted a nice sort of padded, thicker cover on there, so I'll have a little blog post on that. It's not really a tutorial, it's just kind of show you a couple of pictures and how I went about making that thicker. So I'm going to show you the quilt. This quilt is going to be my next magazine submission. All of these stems you can see here, these bias tape stems, I'll show you that. They're all going to have flowers on the top, like this, which are going to be made up of 3 circles, and they're all on point. And there's going to be a wooden border around it as well to complete the trellis. So I reckon I'll probably have that done in the next week or so. Yesterday I went round to my friend's house and she's just bought a Grace frame and whatever the name is of the 14-inch machine. So she's got like a mid-arm, and I helped her get that threaded for the first time. Her other friend quilted a quilt to test it out, and it looks like it'd be quite good for sort of this size quilt, so I might even finish up the top and then take it to her house to finish quilting. So that was quite good. And I think that's pretty much it for me this week. I'm going to get some more things on Etsy as well. I did sell a couple of bags this week, but I do have a lot left over from the craft fair that I need to put on there that aren't on there. I just didn't want to put them on too close to Christmas in case people internationally thought that I could get them there in time for Christmas gifts. So I have just held them back a little bit, but do keep your eye on the Etsy shop if you're interested in those. And if you want to see more from my channel, maybe an update when this quilt's finished and see the tutorials and the reviews when I have them, please subscribe, and you could be entered in to win a prize if you're one of the first 200 subscribers too.